people to make comments and things like this. And there were people saying, "Wow, this is brilliant," the presentation I was giving. But
Well,
then
sure.
there was that other crowd of people, and unfortunately, it was over a third of them on there. They're saying, "What the hell is that? It says she uses a girl name, but sounds like a guy. Is that a dude or is that a chick? Oh my God, she's ugly," And it
Well,
was
thank
like,
you very much. What a jerk. What a
well,
bunch of jerks.
it wasn't just one though. There was like
Right?
they all jumped on it.
Unbelievable.
It was pack mentality, and it was a bit on the frustrating side, but it literally illustrated the scale of how much people did not understand what I was. And of course, then there was the real verbose ones who were saying, "Well, if this person doesn't know what the hell they are, how the hell can we trust their science?" You know,
Get
and
out.
yeah, I saw that commentary a great deal. And so I've decided to take it head on because I know I'm going to be recorded. I'm in like 8 or 9 conferences this year, and all of them get taped. So I'm going to go ahead and just for as they say, disclosure and transparency. I'm just going to say this is what I am. I got a couple of quick pictures to show you who I used to be, who I am now, and if you can't deal with me, you can't deal with ET.
I gotta tell you, that's the best line I've heard. I think that's brilliant. And,
It's
it's just, it's the truth. Because if they can't deal with someone who is just a person, who's knowledgeable, who is researching and talking about things that they're interested in to the point that they can't even take the information on board because they're being so judgmental, how are they going to deal with contact? They won't.
Yeah, it's my feeling
They'll
exactly.
run screaming.
Yeah. So that's kind of the tone I'm taking. I actually have a little.
And I'm sorry, it took me aback when it was just perfect. So that's why I was just like,
okay, not a problem.
Awesome.
I think that's. I hesitated to bring it up because I didn't want to. Like long time ago, I was a gender warrior. I was a gender warrior before most. I was one to help people help coin the term transgender back in the early '80s. Okay, the term didn't exist before about 11 of us started promoting it. Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you that when I invite someone to be a guest on my shows, I'm inviting the person, and that includes your personal experiences, the things that matter to you, because everything that you went through got you to the point where you are now and got you to where you're with Linda, who is equally brilliant at doing the work, and so you wouldn't be there probably in that position doing this work and learning these things and being able to educate other people. It's all about who you are and what made you who you are. So
it really is.
I don't mind talking about these things. I think it matters.
It does. It does. And I think it distracts. So I figured I would do this disclaimer in the beginning and say, okay, fine. Now we've gotten through we've gotten through the ugly stuff. Let's talk about the controversial stuff. Let's talk about UFOs.
The real controversy.
There's only 5 slides, but there's there were some people who were giving that were complaining about. Well, it says it's got a wife, and I said, wait a minute, whoa. I gotta address this. So I got pictures of the two of us jumping over the broom at our wedding, and I show former pictures of me when I looked like in Vietnam, what I looked like in the Navy, and then at least my glamour shot when I really looked polished. And that's just, I had to address it.
I only saw the one in Vietnam. I didn't see your Navy shot, or I would have posted those
shot,
too.
I got a big bushy red beard, and I'm in uniform. So
I just saw Vietnam.
That was a long time ago. In Vietnam, that kid was 19 years old and
You were
106,
19. Wow.
19 and 100. In fact, that particular picture, probably, yeah, 19 years old and 106 pounds dripping wet.
I was going to say there's no way you were much over 100.
Yeah, it was.
It was
He
like
was
the
pretty.
begin like the before picture of Captain America.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was pretty much the case. What's interesting is a couple of years ago, oh, let's say about 15, oh, about few years ago, um, I was probably pushing 225 pounds. And of course, I got diagnosed with diabetes 20 years ago. And I decided to apply some science to this whole thing with diabetes. I was getting sick. Every time I turned
Mm-hmm.
around, they were trying to push another pill at me.
Ah,
And we have, would you believe, in the past week, let's see, in the past 4 months, 3.5, 4 months, I've managed to lose 20 pounds. I'm in a pair of pants and I'm in a dress size right now I haven't seen since the mid 80s.
really?
Yeah. And I literally my spouse had to order some pants from one of the mail order companies. I've gone from a 3X down to a 1X.
What did you
And
do?
well, controlled portions.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back to, I used to live in a Buddhist monastery, so I went back to Buddhist monk discipline
Mm-hmm.
as far as how I eat. There's some fasting involved. Most people, oh, fasting's nuts. Well, if you're trying to fight type 2 diabetes, turns out fasting is a key. And most people in America won't do it because we're programmed to eat 3 square meals a day, and that, by God, that's what we're going
Plus
to eat,
snacks. Yep.
plus snacks. And what it came down to for me was I went on a campaign at the end of December. My doctor was talking insulin, and I said, I'm going to get control of this. And he said, okay, I doubt it, but we'll see. Went in my diabetic coach last week and I said, I am taking myself off certain medications now because I have lost enough weight and I have lowered my numbers enough that I don't need the medication I'm taking. Now, that doesn't mean I can sit down and just scarf down
Well,
anything I
no.
want. No, no,
But
but
but go
I,
you.
I'm on a 2 meal a day, and I'm on a 16 hour what they call a 16 hour fast. And at first it's a little hard to do, but once you get a handle on it, it's not that bad. Um,
My
and the thing is,
son-in-law is actually eating like that because of his family history,
yep,
and he has his 2 meals, and then I think it's from 8 o'clock at night until the next morning. He doesn't eat anything.
ours is from 6 o'clock,
Maybe his is
5:30 to 6.
6.
Ours is from like 5 to 6 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock the next morning. So, and we keep the eating window into a very, actually, it's not even 7 o'clock next morning. It's actually noon. We skip breakfast
Interesting.
and we don't consume anything. We don't, about 10:30, 11 o'clock, you start feeling really wormy, and that's when we eat. Okay. And it works out very well. So I'm very content with the fact that I literally had to go down 2 sizes in pants, and there's at least 2 dresses in my closet that I'm looking forward to crawling into that I haven't touched in years. So
That's just amazing. But he did that because of his family diabetic history, and he was getting concerned about his weight.
yep.
It's a really
Well,
great, healthy way to eat.
well, think about something else. You hear a lot of people who are getting like stomach stapling type modifications, and then you hear
Yes.
about after they've lost, say, 100 pounds or something like that, suddenly they're no longer diabetic. And what the deal is
And
type 2
fertility
diabetes.
issues are affected by that also. There's
Yes.
everything in your body is affected by that. You're right. I have a lot of friends who that fixed almost all of their health issues,
I
especially
don't doubt it.
diabetes.
I don't doubt it. People don't understand that type 2 diabetes it's not really about not having enough insulin. It's about insulin resistance. of not being able to use the insulin that you have. And it's because you have all this extra weight and you have all this extra target tissue, and it sucks up all the insulin, and so you don't have enough to work with. So medical science has just said, well, we'll give you more insulin. And all you're doing is throwing gasoline on a fire. You're just making it turns into fat. And you just keep getting heavier, and the problem compounds itself. So the only way to deal with it was, one, lose weight. Two, I had to go down to very controlled portions. And then I started adding intermittent fasting. And then we found some scientific studies that Linda found scientific studies that showed that longer periods of fast were effective. Now, am I going to be on these long periods of fast forever? No. Right now, I'm in what they call a keto mode, where I'm actually I'm trying to burn as much of my own fat off. And what happens is the fat that gets left over, that gets generated from the that insulin, excessive insulin, because it goes right to fat, it goes around your girth, it goes around the center. And so you end up being pear-shaped, so to speak. And what's happened is, where did I lose it? I lost it around the girth. So that's why I'm 2 pants sizes down right now.
That's astounding.
And it is, and it's just blowing me away. You know what broke the camel's back? I had to give a talk sometime back, a couple of months ago, and Linda complained and says, "Do you realize how many times you were pulling your pants up during the presentation?" So that's what we're working on. I've got a target right now. I'm in my 180s right now, which is terrific. I haven't seen those numbers, those weight numbers since, like I said, the mid 80s. And my target is the 170s, perhaps the 160s, if I can do it. I'm going to try very hard to do it because, like I said, I just came off of, I had to call my diabetic nurse and say, hey, my numbers are getting so low right now that if I take the medicine, I'm going to be in real trouble. She says, stop taking the medicine. If you're doing that good, stop taking the medicine. So I did. And the last 3 days have been without the medicine, and we're now stabilizing, and we're doing something right here. And the doctor called me about it, and he says, what the hell are you doing? I said, forget what it is. I just call him Dr. P. I said, Dr. P, I said, Linda and I over the last 4 months have scienced the hell out of this. And he says, keep doing it. Yeah, so that's where we are.
Well, I tell you what, apparently research skills come in handy for just about every aspect of life, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And we are about 15 seconds out from our top of the hour news break. This is going to be your 5-minute opportunity. You can run get a glass of wine. You can refill that coffee or teacup. You can do cartwheels, but we're going to break. So we will see y'all in 5. Thanks for being with us, and be sure you come right back.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from the Annie E. Casey Foundation, developing solutions to support strong families and communities to help ensure a brighter future for America's children. More information is available at aecf.org.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Attorney General William Barr's summary of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report shows Donald Trump's campaign did not conspire or coordinate with Russia in the 2016 elections. President Trump is happy with this report.
There was no collusion with Russia, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. There was no collusion with Russia. There was no obstruction, and none whatsoever.
Speaking there to reporters in Florida, where he spent the weekend before heading to Washington. And while the summary delivered to Congress today didn't find that Trump obstructed justice, it also doesn't exonerate him. NPR's Phil Ewing has more on what happens going forward.
What's next is the Attorney General says in his letter he's going to identify all this material that was filed by the Special Counsel's office and go through it to see what he can release to Congress and the public. A great deal of it, according to him, is grand jury material. It involves investigations by the FBI, foreign intelligence, etc. And so whatever we see will be partly redacted, most likely.
NPR's Phil Ewing. The annual American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee Conference, or AIPAC, is underway in Washington, D.C., and this year the conference opened amid partisan divides among lawmakers over U.S. policy toward Israel. NPR's Shannon Van Zandt has more.
The conference begins just weeks after Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar suggested AIPAC buy support from members of Congress. Her comments were widely condemned and led to the House passing a resolution condemning hatred, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. At this year's conference, while House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senator Chuck Schumer are among the headline speakers, many Democratic presidential candidates are choosing not to attend. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will speak at